All right, just sitting here. I'm Joe Murray, and I am just sitting here. And obviously, we started this show. Well, how this show started was me kind of babbling, bringing people in over time. And I think it's now been 9 weeks, but I've been doing the show for about 5 weeks now. And, I can shave my own head, I can trim my own beard, I can do all that. But I had something going on today. I had a little antler in my eyebrow today. And then I was like, dude, I got to trim the beard. And I had a little miscue. I'll show everybody. Beard still looks good. Something happened to the mustache. I don't know what happened. I think I got a little too close and gone. So I miss my Dominican barbers in Medford Square. Moreno, I miss you. I miss you. You're who I miss during quarantine. I need you. Where did you go? That's one thing. I can only imagine what the women are going through, man. Like the women who can't get their hair did or their nails done or the tanning or any of that. I'm just a bro. Like, I wish I could just put my hat on backwards and show up. And granted, I have no hair, but the beard, it's a real thing. Anyways, I'm venting. Just sitting here, Joe Murray. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes. You can listen to all our past episodes. I will do people are asking me about UFC tonight. Like, I don't care about the fighters. We do have John Anik coming on Friday. So maybe I'll give you a couple later on throughout the show today. We have Julian Edlow from DraftKings coming up in just a minute here. I'll recap last night's Dark Side of the Ring. We'll do that for all you wrestling fans out there. And I did watch WrestleMania 3 last night in its entirety. It was awesome. So we'll get into all that. But first, let's bring in our guest today. His name is Julian Edlow. He is from DraftKings. At Julian Edlow. Look at you with your hat on back. Are you hiding something with that hat on?
I did myself a quarantine cut. Buzzed the head for the first time in probably 3 or 4 years. It's okay. It's shaky. It's not a bad haircut. It's not a haircut that I'm proud of. So when I get a chance to do something casual like this, I just figure it's safer to hide it.
Yeah, it looks good. I'll tell you right now, it looks all right. It looks better than
I'm a big backwards hat guy to begin with. So it got to the point I was just going to let hair go, beard go. And then one day it was just too much. And I was like, I got out the clippers and I was just like, this needs to go. And went with the beard, the head, everything. And felt a lot better. But, blending, fading, like all that stuff, that's hard. My wife worked on it a little bit after I botched it. And then I was just like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to wear a hat every day anyway. So here we are.
Here we go. Two bros talking about their haircut or their quarantine cut. Again,
I haven't botched the beard or anything yet.
Dude, I
condolences.
So, I don't know what it is. I'm Italian, right? I don't have like a George the Animal Steel like type body or anything like that. Like, I'm a hairy man, but these eyebrows, dude, like I can't touch those things. Like, I know your boy Brendan Glasheen on DraftKings one day, just like he looks like a hobbit. He looks like a goddamn hobbit. Now I can't even tell who he is anymore. And by the way, parental advisory, don't worry. It's like the old sticker. You can do whatever you want here. Okay, this is a safe ground. But like, great. I have mistakenly shaved off my eyebrow before. One, not the other. And like I like faded it in. I started fading. I was like using like a comb and like a thing. I saved it one day. But like, you got to remember, you got to go the opposite way if you're going to shave it. And don't even try with a razor, dude.
Well, I mean, that's what Glasheen did. I was we've been broadcasting like some Madden simulations over at DraftKings. There's contests for, and we have a play-by-play, a color guy. We just kind of screw around, but we also, treat it like a game. And the pregame show for one of those broadcasts was Glasheen shaving his eyebrows, which I didn't notice which way he went against the grain. I'm sure he did his research.
Oh, yeah.
I did a broadcast with him last night. They're starting to grow back. He also has a horseshoe shaved into the back of his head because the Colts got shut out in one of the simulations. He said he would shave a horseshoe in the back of his head if the Colts got shut out, which they did. So he looks like a hot mess. But I would never mess with my eyebrows. I'm way too afraid to. I would get my haircut once years ago when I lived in Alston. go to this place on Harvard Ave, and I just went to get my haircut, and without asking, the guy just starts doing the like shaping up the eyebrows, and I was like, whoa! It's like, you don't have to do that, but you already started, so I mean, you got to finish them now.
You got to manscape, dude. That's why you got to go to a barber over like a haircut place, because the barber's like, dude, you need to trim those antlers, you know, and they'll just they'll get right in there, and they will know. All right, so speaking of that, all right, so this is interesting. You know, I like to gamble, and DraftKings has the app now, right? And this isn't an infomercial for DraftKings, okay? But you know, you guys can actually bet on these simulations. Like, you can go to DraftKings and bet on these simulations that like people are doing play-by-play for.
You can't bet on the simulation. Like, there is no Patriots -6 or over under 47, but you can build lineups. So you can essentially play DFS.
Okay.
I know that there are some other sites doing simulations and some books that are actually running, you know, sides and totals. We do not have that at DraftKings, but all these, and you don't even have to pay to enter them right now. You have to make, that means you have to make a really good lineup to win a free contest, because it's not like they're just giving away money to anybody, but you know, there's a couple $1,000s in each contest. First place is usually getting somewhere between 100 and 1,000, depending on the size of the contest and how many entries they do, but it's free. You can watch the Madden simulation play out. There'll be some play-by-play. Maybe you'll get lucky and get a game where Glasheen's shaving his eyebrows or shaving his head or something.
Yeah.
He's supposed to paint his face on Thursday, but he couldn't find face paint, so he's considering doing it with marker or something like that. I'm sure that'll go over really well for his skin. But yeah, either way, like, it's free entry on DraftKings and you can win money. To be honest, it's really hard to do. So you're probably either not going to cash, or you're going to finish in the top percent and win like a quarter or 50 cents because that's how the payouts are scaled. However, there is the free chance to wind up, you know, winning $250 or whatever by watching a Madden simulation. So if you're bored, I mean, it's a fun time, and we try and mess around on the broadcast and have some fun.
How have you been handling the no gambling? Like, UFC the other night was their most bet event that they've ever had. The draft I had some fun with, but besides that, man, like, I've been okay with it. Like, I needed some time off. I needed to walk away. And just, there's a lot of pressure when you got to give out picks, right? Or you got to give out, hey, these are my lineups today. Or so like, I've enjoyed getting away from it for a little bit. But like, for you, are you anxious to get back out there, or how's this been for you?
It's weird because, like, you know, right around now is we're in the heat of the NBA playoffs and we're getting ready to kind of wind down. Like, for me, once the NBA finals ends, that's kind of my off time until football gets going. I will bet baseball, but I just don't put as much time and effort into it and don't put as much money into it. So, you know, I can just kind of live with it, do it as a little bit more of a hobby over the summer. Whereas when we're in football and basketball, it's grinding every day. So the break, I would say I agree with you. I'm a cool break, and it's been a little bit more relaxing, although I didn't even imagine that I would be working this much covering things like simulations and whatnot, which are like not necessarily my bread and butter, but I'm happy to have the work and happy to be doing it. But it was more the timing of it for me, which I was disappointed with, because, like, you know, Steve Buchanan and I have the Panel B podcast over at DraftKings. We were just about to have you on to do our huge March Madness show from DK and pump that out. And, like, you know, March Madness is my favorite time of year. The conference tournament's a big tournament, and then we kind of roll it into NBA playoffs. So, like, the timing was awful because this was coming into my favorite time of the year. So I'm really pissed to have missed that, although the break is fine. So, like, I was kind of excited to kind of take the summer off a little bit, not off, but, you know, kind of off, and then get back into it in the fall. And now it's going to be like, well, if NBA comes back over the summer, you kind of got to dive right back into it. Can you afford to take, 6 months off from March all the way to September, assuming football starts on time? I don't know if that's good for, good for business, good for following, good for anything. So it messed up my schedule a little bit. And I was pissed about the no March Madness. Like I was getting ready to go out to New Jersey for the DK like sports gambling world championships. It was going to be awesome to be able to use DK Sportsbook out there and just take in all the March Madness games in an awesome environment. And when that got fucking ripped away from me, I was just like, I was so looking forward to this. And
I hear you, dude. Like same thing for us, and we're being selfish about it, and that's fine. This is our job. Right. This is what we do. This is our passion, right? Like this is our livelihood. Like like same thing with us. We got a show. It's presented by DraftKings. We're every Saturday, 7 a.m. and it's like, all right, shit, here we go. March Madness is coming up. Right? They got all that shit. And then, we're going to have the Kentucky Derby. And this is going to be great. And, New Hampshire, there's going to be casinos opening. And, oh, man, this is going to blow up. And now it's like, dude, is it even going to come back? And then when it does come back, what's it going to be like? And
right.
I think, dude, like, I'm being really honest when I say this. Like, I think the lines are going to be harder to cap. I think fantasy might be a little bit tougher. I don't know how certain people are going to play with fans, without fans.
Right.
It's a whole new ball game, but it's intriguing. It's interesting, and at the same time, like, I hate to use the Aladdin term, but it is a whole new world.
It absolutely is. Like, I don't even know how to explain it right now because we have to. It's kind of going to be a wait and see approach. When that first NBA game happens in Disney World or Las Vegas or wherever, and there's no fans, and it might even be an NBA playoff game right out of the gate.
Yeah.
What do you set the number at? What do you set the total at? Unless something looks really egregious, I probably wouldn't bet it, but I would live bet. I would start watching the game and be like, all right, what does the pace look like? Because the odds makers are guessing, it's their first time guessing at building a line and a total in this situation. So we might be able to tell out of the gate, like, okay, they were wrong. Like there is no problem with the pace where they thought it would be slower paced, or this team is going to dominate, even though the 1 seed isn't at home playing the 8 seed. There will be interesting things to watch. And there could also be teams come out really sluggish in that first half, that first game, and you can maybe look at second half overs or something because they start to get a little bit more comfortable because teams are going to be tight coming out in that random neutral court, empty gym to start whatever we start seeing. So baseball too, what is that going to look like? It's been such a marathon every year, and it's still probably going to a degree, but it's going to be condensed. So what does that mean for the season? Like there's so many things to consider where you can just take. I posted right before all this happened a bunch of probably like 10 MLB futures that I was playing that are all going to get canceled because they're all like win totals that are not going to apply, all stuff that's going to be scrapped. But we're going to re-dive into that research and see, like, I know at one point in time DK Sportsbook was offering MLB team win percentages, which is creative. Because no matter how many games, then you have action. But at the same time, like we saw things up there, like what games are going to be played, what the divisions are even going to be going to look like, who all these teams are going to play. So like I wouldn't think that that's a safe bet considering all the unknowns. But it's enticing to see all the creativity going into these things. And really, the only thing we can bet right now is NFL futures and hope that we get the standard 16-game season. With the schedule that we just saw. So like, that's the only thing right now that we have like set in stone, and we'll see if it actually happens.
Yeah. We'll get into those. We'll do some of that. I have some fun props that we can get into here on the show today. You can chat into the broadcast. So if you want to chat in, you can do it on Facebook or right on Twitter. Some people love my t-shirt right off the bat. AEW. Yep. Wrestling tonight. I'm a wicked wrestling geek. If you didn't know, Julian,
I did know.
It's like, tonight's the Wednesday Night Wars. And like you could bet on Money in the Bank that just happened this week. I would have lost big time. Anyways, I mean, it's predetermined, but you might as well throw your hat in the ring. You know what I mean? I want to get into some other stuff as well. You mentioned Glasheen. He works with us at 98.5 The Sports, so that's why he busts his balls. Adam Kaufman, we worked with him in the past. I know Steve from like way back when, so it's all right to like poke fun at some of the guys. and have some fun with it. But I've been asking everyone who joins the podcast if you could be quarantined with one person that you work with. Do you know that one person? Because mine's Dan Lifshatz, and the reason why mine is Dan is he has his thoughts, I have my thoughts. Like me and Dan, we're two big guys, but we're different. like we're different dudes. Like Dan, how he makes friends is he argues with you. Me, I'm your boy, and then we can argue. You know what I mean? So, but but that's how we are. He has his room, I have mine, and then like it's all good. So I guess like, is there somebody that you feel like you could be quarantined with?
We can take the hosts and throw them out immediately. Your Glashines, your Kaufmans, Emerson Latzia. Those guys are just going to talk your ear off, try and be buddy, hanging out in like the common area together. So I have to kind of find somebody, I guess, that will let us both do our own thing and come together to work on something when we need to come together. So I don't know. I guess as much as Steve Buchanan and I butt heads, we do that for entertainment purposes. We have a podcast together, like you and Dan have a podcast together, and we know how to press each other's buttons and react to each other. So I guess Steve wouldn't be a bad person because he can appreciate that we're each going to have our own space, and then maybe we come together and do our work together, and things flare up, and then we just go our separate ways. So I think Steve would be a decent person for that. Trying to think if there's anybody. There's no one person in particular that really stands out. It's more the people that I wouldn't want to quarantine.
Me too.
Stand out.
Same thing. I went through the list and I'm like, nope. No,
it's mostly no's. Put it that way.
And like, dude, I love everybody, but I can only stand so much. So yeah, I wanted to just start off with that because it's quarantine. Like dude, I don't know if we're at the breaking point right now. Like. It's
like any break points. You just have your moment every week or two.
Like for me now, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna need a job when this is over. Like, I still work at the radio station, but like I'm gonna need a job. And now I'm like, oh man, who am I competing against? The whole world? Like literally, dude, like the whole world is laid off. You know what I mean? So like now it's starting to be like, oh man, we gotta get that resume dusted up a little bit here. But yeah, we're definitely at that point. So I wanted to start off today. All right, so we get that out of the way. Will there be fans in the stands in week 1 of the NFL? And the reason why I asked this question is I saw betting odds on this one yesterday, and I was a bit surprised when I saw the odds. So I don't know if you've seen it, but just off the bat, what would you guess is the favorite? Yes or no?
I would guess no is the favorite. And the way you're saying it, it sounds like you found somewhere that has yes favored.
So I'm looking Bet Online right now. Will fans be in attendance week 1 of the 20 NFL regular season? No, -400.
Oh, okay.
Like that's heavy.
So I think that those should be favored. I thought it would maybe be like -200. Seems a little more fair.
That's heavy. Now, listen, the city of Boston shut down until Labor Day, but the governor,
I guess. Hold on. Here's
go ahead.
Like a contingency. Like, what if? Like, does this mean just one game has fans in the stands, or all of them? Because
week
this could be something where
week 1.
This could be something where week 1, like I don't know, a game in Florida has fans in the stands, and a game in Foxborough doesn't. Like, could that actually happen? And how would that be great? There technically are fans in the stands somewhere.
Week 1 of the
That's
NFL.
Question.
Week 1 of the NFL.
Let me say this for Bet Online, because I would want to qualify this with them, because I made a bet with Bet Online once about Jimmy Garoppolo's team for week 1 of the NFL season. This is the year he got traded to San Francisco mid-season. My bet clearly stated what team will it be on week 1 of the NFL season. I took the Patriots. Bet just kept not grading. I reached out to them. They're like, oh, it's actually what team will he take his first snap for. So the bet graded as a loss at in week 10 when he came in for the 49ers. And I was like, all right, we got to see how this is worded. So wording on this already has me confused.
While you're on that, DraftKings doesn't include overtimes and halftime bets. Do you know the reason for that?
I have no clue. And I saw that. Was that for a college basketball game?
Yep.
So
No, because here's the deal. I could take advantage of that. Like for me, like so like, hey, whatever book it says, whatever it does, like that's fine. It's like house rules. You go to someone's house or whatever. Like I like playing sometimes playing 22 at the casino. I like playing other games that are out there. But like, and it's not a knock. It's just that like, okay, that's what they want to do. They don't want to include it, so maybe we start taking under second halves.
Right. So it's unconventional, and it definitely surprised me because you don't see it many places. I have no clue behind the reasoning of that, and that's not something that I'm at all involved with. But like you said, it's something that not many people are going to assume unless it's clearly stated. So if there's a number that looks funky, maybe you can even wait a little bit and let casual bettors get that number up for you. If it's the second half that maybe people are going to be betting the over, and then you play that under, and it's just like you said, it's a weird wrinkle. I'm struggling like off the cuff to think of the best time necessarily to take advantage of it. But there would be a time where you're watching a game and be like, oh yeah, this is, a tied game at halftime, whatever, between two competitive teams. You get that little edge with the potential for overtime, especially in like later in the season, in March or even in February, in that late
or March
conference play,
March Madness, playoffs, you name it. Yeah,
it's a weird wrinkle that you definitely have to be conscious of, and I guess it's something that you want to let people know. It's something that I would want to let people know as somebody that promotes gambling on the DraftKings site. Like if I'm writing an article and I say I'm going to look for second half unders in this game, this is why I would want to let people know. But obviously, you maybe want to keep it more of a secret so that you can take advantage of it.
And dude, I'll tell you a story. I bet the McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight years ago, and I took the over 5.5 rounds, 6.5, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And it gets into the 6th round or whatever, and I'm like, yes, like high-fiving my boys, like, yeah, with the bet. Well, he got knocked out. So what happens in boxing is it has to go under 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the next round for the half.
Right. It's a legitimate, like the half number counts, whereas the half number is always so that you hit a side and everything else.
So like it happened like, I don't know, 6 seconds, 7 seconds before with the 10 count.
Oh,
and like I still think
bad beat.
Fight, bad beat. I still think that fight's rigged. And again, you always remember your losses, right? Like you always remember. But like that got me that day. That one got me where I'm like, shit, I don't know my rules. I don't know my rules. That's my own fault, right? And that's the thing with books. Dude, how many? I mean, there's so many rookie bettors now, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm this fantasy. I love fantasy. I'm great at it. I'm gonna start doing, gambling's a different beast, man." And I'm sure you're learning. You're learning along the way, right? You didn't get into this to, I'm gonna start wagering and be a 60% better. You were like, I like fantasy and I want to get into the fantasy side of this, and then now I'm gonna start breaking down like odds and shit. Like it's two different things. You can't mix them up. You can't like somebody on your fantasy team and then hope to bet with them. Like, it's two different things, and I'm curious for you. Like, I hate fantasy, but I love daily fantasy. And I like me and my buddies, we go all in. We have 12 dudes, $50 a guy or whatever it is, 1 week, winner take all. You have the best team, you win it all, and it's a huge cash in. But it's so much who's going to be the guy. If you were the right guy to get lucky that week, you cash. I like that. I hate ESPN fantasy football. I hate Yahoo fantasy football. I suck at it because it's like the gambling thing, I can't mix them both up. How do you do it?
You do have to think of it completely differently. Maybe the bankroll comes into play where you want to say, for an NFL week, for example, it depends how much I like on the gambling side and how much I like on the DFS side. And you kind of say like, whatever, I'm going 75% in on the DraftKings fantasy side this week and just 25% on the sportsbook side because I only like 1 or 2 games or whatever. And there's other weeks where you want to bet more and play lighter on the fantasy side. I'm much more of a cash player on DraftKings. I will build a cash lineup, enter it into double ups, head-to-heads, 50-50s and whatnot, and play predominantly safe plays. and every once in a while, add a little bit of a guy that I'm really confident in or whatever that could be considered a contrarian play in there and see how it goes. And then you just kind of sprinkle that lineup into tournaments, and you just try and be profitable. You're going to have losing weeks, but you just try and be profitable on the season in terms of doubling up. And then it's really only like 2, 3, 4 weeks where you're going to hit big in tournaments. I'll occasionally make a couple of different lineups to sprinkle into tournaments if I like a different stack or a different player more. The only real overlap, I guess, is if you bet player props. Is that you can say, a guy can have a big week, but a guy can have a big fantasy week. A guy's whatever, DeAndre Hopkins yardage prop can be set at 94.5. He can have a huge fantasy week because he has 80 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he doesn't hit the over for you on your yardage prop. Like there are wrinkles, but at the same time, there will be some weeks I have a guy that's in like all my lineups, and I just love this matchup for him. I'm playing his yardage over or whatever, and that'll happen occasionally, and it usually works out that he'll hit on both if one has a good week and hit the yardage, but there are instances where it has not worked out for me.
Dude, the Super Bowl, I had 25 bets. I won 9 and came away with money.
And you're profitable, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, and dude, UFC this past week, my biggest bets were in Ngannou. I took the over 1.5 rounds in Ngannou. He won in under like 1.5 seconds.
That was one of my only plays was under 1.5 rounds.
The reason, but here's why I faded it. And my reason why was both fighters knocked people out in the first round, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't you think they're going to like square each other up a little? You can't square up with Ngannou. Stipe Miocic, I don't know how he did it, but he threw him in a cage and held him for 5 rounds or whatever it was. Good for him. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time, right? But like you can't stand up with Ngannou. You just can't do it. And if he hits you one, it's over. And dude, I've lost money. I've actually, believe it or not, I definitely lost that fight faster than I've lost hands of blackjack. I'm not joking. Like, dude, I remember. So last week, dude, there was another one. Alistair Overeem. Was it Overeem or Kane? I forget who it was. Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar years ago, dude. Lesnar got punched in the face and was done. I lost $500 in less than 5 minutes. And I was like, dude, I was like so new to game. Like it was so new. I have problems with UFC, and people are checking in. Hey, UFC picks tonight, and yeah, I did kill it last week. Do you know why I killed it last week? So I always say take the underdogs in the prelims. With the lines the way they are right now, Julian, they're so tight. They've matched it up to where if they see like Chris Cater as a semi-heavy favorite at 250 or so, like you have to go with that. You can't go the other way with it. Like, if it, like Gaethje, I had him as a dog, but the prelims, those were all for favorites. And normally I go the other way with it and I cash in. But the way things are right now, with all the attention on just one sport, the lines are getting tighter. And this is what I'm going to tell everybody. Like people are like, hey, who do you love tonight, Joe? Like the card kind of sucks tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. So I don't know which way is it going to go. Do you want to go with the favorites again as like hey, I think things are going to be tight, or do you want to go after some of the dogs? So, I've looked into the fights. I only like 2 fights tonight, but and I went 9-5 this week, won $600. But for the most part, it's a crapshoot. And in that sport, I don't know how the judges come away with what they do. So like, it's still new to me. Like in boxing, I can find out. You got to knock out the champ to win. You got to knock him out. If not, it's going to be a draw and there'll be a rematch. But in UFC, I felt like Cerrone won that fight, and all of a sudden it's going to Pettis. I don't know how to judge UFC fighting. It's difficult. So for me to say I'm a pro at it, I'm not. But like I get a feel based off the line, and I don't know, man. I watched the other, and you did too. Like some of those fights, I thought definitely the underdog won, but nope, judges came away with the favorites.
I have no idea what I'm watching, man. And that's another one. Like I bet Pettis at like -135 or something. So I'm like, all right, good call. Like I'll take the win. But I had no idea who they were going to say, who the judges were going to give that fight to. Zero idea. Like even when you're watching, like you say, and you thought the Cerrone won, like you have to think back to so many different like instances in that fight and like what what combinations and what like techniques are, things that I don't know. You can tell that I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I'm doing this for fun, and the reason it was the biggest UFC card ever because we have nothing else to do.
Exactly.
Like normally that would have been an NBA playoff Saturday night, and there would have been 4 games on throughout the day, and that would have been the attention.
It's called blind betting, and we all do it. And we'll move on. I have some UFC stuff. I'll do that later because I'll take the heat. Okay.
I'm curious to see what you got. Like, there's a reason you didn't see my plays on Twitter on Saturday. I did it for fun. I was making a little bit of money, and then I had like 3 parlays tied in with Ferguson at the end, which would have made for a very profitable night. And then I just went.
I had gapped you all the way, and like the New England connection is starting to take its rise a little bit in UFC. Let's not forget
New England connection on that card on Saturday night.
Yeah, and let's not forget I have a different kind of interest, and I got a friend on the inside. So all right, let's just say that it's not all me. That's what we do in this business, right? You find a guy, you know a guy. It's how it goes.
Absolutely.
He's Julian Edlow from DraftKings. DraftKings has been pumping out a bunch of shit, whether it's digital content. They're every now. I mean, years ago, there were billboards everywhere, commercials everywhere. Now they're doing shows. They did a draft show this year. You guys got the sweat. You got all sorts of stuff going on now. But before DraftKings, who was Julian Edlow and how'd you get here?
This is my favorite segment of your podcast, is finding out how different people get to where they're at, because there is no, like, so many people want to know how to get into sports and work in sports, and there's no answer. The answer is that you have to be nice and be well-liked and reach out to as many people as you can and say yes to everything are, like, my answers when people ask me how you get to where you are. So in terms of my story, I had no idea what I wanted to do in college. I went to URI, Rhode Island. They now have a nice sports journalism program that was not really there when I was there. I graduated in 2010, so that wasn't even really an option for me. So I majored in communications, and I did a little bit of journalism, and I was like, what can I do with this? And eventually I just got to the point where I was like, why am I like looking at all these different things? Why don't I just do something in sports, and I'll figure it out as I go? So I know you're a 1510 The Zone guy. I got an internship at 1510 The Zone. Actually, it was through 98.5 in ways. Chachi was a good family friend.
Yeah.
Put me in touch with Anthony Pepe over at 1510 The Zone. And that's where I did my internship going into my senior year at 1510. They didn't have interns. This was like a favor putting me there. So they were just kind of coming up with stuff on the fly for me to do.
Yeah,
so
you were watching a show and, hey, go get a stats or go do this.
Literally sit behind the producer and watch them produce a show. And then there would be nights where, because like we said, there were shows on like 10 p.m. to midnight slots where a producer just wouldn't show. And they would just call me and be like, all right, like, we'll be on the payroll, you produce this show. And I would be like, oh my God, and just start pressing buttons. But like I said, say yes to everything. That's step one. If you want to work in sports, just keep saying yes. So yeah, that was just kind of my thing for a while. And when I got out of college, I was doing marketing at a hospital and just never really did anything with it. Probably just out of laziness, still being young. And then eventually around probably when I was like 25, I was like, all right, I need to get back into this sports area. That's what I want to do. So I just started reaching out to as many connections as possible. Chachi helped me sit down with Tony Maz at the Sports Hub a couple of times, which was very nice. He didn't have to do that. I think you guys all know Maz is like a super nice guy, probably nicer than he has to be for the chair that he sits in.
And by the way, Maz, the this sucks and that sucks and that sucks. That's like we all have our pitch. We all have our pitch on the air. We like, I'm out on everything, right? Like me, but like Tony really is a nice guy. Without a doubt, I would go to bat for the guy. But that's one thing. There's the TV guy, and then there's the real life dude, and everything you say about him is true.
That there is, and that's true for all of us. So, yeah, basically, I would do some, I would just send Tony some of my writing. He would critique it, and I learned a lot from that. And Gary Tanguay was a guy that I knew through a friend. I would call on the phone, and his advice to me was be annoying with people until they get back to you. And maybe they just get back to you and say no.
Dude, he hit me up recently about something like that.
Oh, yeah.
He looks dude's been in the business for like 30-something years. I'm gonna have him on. I'm gonna have him on at some point. But right now he's doing commercials with DJ Bean, or video clips with DJ Bean. So I think he might be a little busy right now. But yeah. So you start.
Gary
you started getting help.
Remember me.
But that's what I'm saying. But he might. These guys all, dude. These guys. Let me tell you something. Everyone knows who everybody is. Everyone knows we know what you're doing. Everyone knows what everyone's doing in this business. They know that, oh shit, my contract's up soon. Who's the next guy? Or everybody knows everybody. They're gonna play it off like you're nobody. That's a fact. And I'm nobody part-timer at 98.5 The Sports Hub. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. Everyone knows I'm doing this podcast. Everyone knows when I have somebody on. Everybody knows what is going on, and that's a lie. So I bet you he knows you're on today.
All right, so
and I'm going to tell him anyway
today. So yeah, I mean, I'm rambling, but basically one of the people that I annoyed on anyways was Rob Bradford, saying,
"Oh yeah,"
and I was blogging at Celtics Life at the time,
which was good. Brian Robb started Celtics Hub. And turned into that. Celtics Life was a credible account. And there were tons of Celtics things at the time, right? CLNS wasn't what it was at the time. Like there was everything was Celtics something, right? But hey, you got to write somewhere, man.
Yeah, that was my. I mean, at the time, NBA Celtics. That was my niche. This is before all the fantasy and gambling content. So after annoying Rob Bradford for like 6 months, he finally goes, "All right, dude, like, your writing looks good and everything, but I respect your hustle to just keep calling me after like I didn't return your calls and said, oh yeah, we'll talk down the road. And it just kept not happening for 6 months and you kept calling me. So I'll give you a weekly Celtics draft call. This is the year after Garnett and Pierce were traded. So the draft was the big story. Wiggins, Parker, Embiid, and then they fall to 6 and get Marcus Smart. But I was doing a weekly draft column on WEI.com. And then we finally get to the summer, and then the draft picks are all coming into Waltham to work out. And Rob gives me a call and says, I need somebody in Waltham to start covering these workouts. Do you want to do it? Once again, say yes to everything. Keep learning this. So I say yes, go in. That was a risk, letting me put a weekly column up didn't really hurt him. Like, it was going to be edited and it was going to look fine. Him letting me into the building in Waltham took trust, and I really appreciated that, and tried to work my ass off that summer covering and NBA draft stuff. And by the time we got to the start of the season, I had earned that trust, and Rob would ask me to kind of cover some games. There were other writers there, usually 1 to 3 other writers there for WEI at the time. But I had my foot in. I would go. The first time you walk into like the Celtics locker room, you shit your pants. It's like, wow, like it's kind of one of those moments in your career where you're like, all right, I'm actually like starting to do this. And being around NBA players, like being like Kobe, LeBron in NBA locker rooms, like that was cool. Somebody who didn't think they were going to be there like 3 months earlier.
Hey, real quick, I want to tell you that. So we had Ty Anderson on last week, who was a part of the WEI site. Rob Bradford's gotten a lot of praise on this podcast. From everything I know about him, he's a good guy, works hard. There's no rift between 98.5 and WEI. Like there's none. I think
competition.
Yeah, and I think we wonder what's going on over there. Like, wow, like we should be able to have 2 sports stations in this town. You know what I mean? Like, we should be able to have it. There should be competition. Their website is very good. That's one thing I think we all can agree on. They have a great website. But from what you're telling me and what Ty said, and we had Christian Arcan on, and James Stewart was a big part of EI in the past. Is they're these hungry dudes who get an opportunity, but they get hungrier, and it didn't seem to like they had to go somewhere else to like stimulate that. You know what I mean? And this isn't shitting on them. It's just that a lot of the guys who step foot in there it's kind of like they were the stepping stone, right? They were the stepping stone, right? Like, they were the stepping stone. 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 Like, they were the stepp instead of like the other way around. Am I wrong on saying that?
No, in a way that makes sense. Like I was obviously never an employee of EEI. I was just
You were
freelancing there, really, and it was a different experience, I guess. And yeah, they just kind of move on to the next hungry guy that's ready to take an opportunity. When you get to the point where you're like, I want to do more of this, it's not necessarily always there for you, but that's well, you're right. It's a good call to keep bringing in people that are going to grind and give you the most. So I was covering the Celtics in the NBA there for, I think, 3 seasons.
Wow.
And I started toning down in the 3rd season because I had latched on with DraftKings, and just reached out to them, looking for more in sports, because kind of the part-time beat right thing wasn't enough to really dive in. And at the time, DraftKings said they were redoing the DK playbook, which is where all of our fantasy and gambling related articles go, and to reach back out to them in a few months. So I did that. And they were like, yeah, we want to bring on writers. And at the time, honestly, they were like, we want Barstool type content. Like, give us 3-4 articles a day, like funny pieces that have to do with sports. And I did that for 2 months. And they said, let's get on a call on Monday. And got on a call on Monday. And they said, we're scrapping all this. It's not working.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. We're
you can't try to you can't do what someone else is doing and be successful.
So we learned pretty quick that was not the way to go. And I've been at DraftKings now 5 years in April. And it just, start doing the NBA cheat sheet, start writing up MLB stacks, NFL values, just different DFS angles that pertain just to DraftKings and what to look for that week. And it just kept growing and growing. And we see tournament sizes growing and growing. You mentioned the summer where you just could not go without seeing a DraftKings ad every single commercial break, and walking around Boston anywhere you went.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. The facilities in Boston, tech startups, like I don't want you to have to sign anything to talk about where it's going now or anything like that. I've been there with other companies that are, about the IPO and all that stuff, but like, look where it is now. And I used to think the DraftKings material was a little vanilla. So it's interesting that you say that, because I used to be like, well, okay. Like, should I read into this? It has gotten better. It is more detailed. They are now starting to talk gambling lines that you wouldn't consider before. So like, I actually like where it's going. I think it can get better. I think when you actually, and this isn't a knock, it's just they're training you guys along the way to learn how to gamble. Like, who's in there that's like, like someday maybe there's somebody that worked at a sports book and is going to come in. Maybe there's something that will happen. It can only get on the rise with what's going to happen there. But I will say, like, the content's come a long way. And I think that the average bettor, it's great. Like, the average ho-hum, I'm going to go golfing and then gamble on a Sunday. Like, it's perfect for that. But like, for me, like, I'm heavy into this shit. I like to look into it to see what I'm missing or what's sneaking through the cracks. And I think that's what DraftKings is finding. Some of the stuff, the individual prop bets, like the shit you guys did for the Super Bowl was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was some stuff in there that I was like, yep, I'm riding this one. And it's just, you just miss it, right? Because there's so much in front of you. You miss it. But I'm glad you brought that up, because there was a time where it was a little vanilla, but and I'm not just kissing ass, but it's come a long way, and now it's starting to gear towards a guy like me, and I get the weekly email. I get the weekly every day. I get the, hey, here's what's going on DraftKings every day. Now I know what I can bet on every day, and it's good. And they give you nice little details, and on the bottom it shows you who won, or a guy hit a 16 parlay on this, and it gets me going a little bit. I'm like, fuck, I need to get on this shit. I need to go drive to New Hampshire, maybe hit up like Ralphie's or some Italian joint in Salem or the little ice cream shop up there and come on back. Like, it's worth it for me. And dude, it's a 30-minute ride from where I am to New Hampshire.
I know. I'm north of the city too, so it's a quick trip. I'm so hopeful of the day that we get a day sports book here in Massachusetts. That's going to be awesome. I have no clue what the timeline is on that. But I mean, that would be really cool because DK Sportsbook does offer a lot of things that you just don't see at a lot of places. One of the other things that I think is cool about it is, this is me as a gambler. Like, I'm not promoting it. Like, this is one of the only places you can parlay things that you would think you could not parlay anywhere. Like, I've been trying on different books to parlay like the Ravens and Chiefs to win their divisions, which Baltimore's like over a -200 favorite. Kansas City's around -400, different places that you see them. I don't want to lay either of those individually, but I'm really confident both of those teams are going to win their division. There's a reason they're heavy favorites. The only place I've found that I can parlay that is DraftKings. You can parlay the two for -115, which like no books let you do. So
yeah, and if they do, you don't want to use them. And you know what? And you know what? Maybe this is something you guys should consider. And I'm only throwing this out there, and I don't know what you can and can't do. I can't do it because I like to get paid, and I like my job. But like, maybe you guys should look into, hey, this is the only place you can get this. Like, there are other books. Bet Online has any odd you want, but again, how do you get paid from Bet Online? How do you get paid from Bovada? I think this is the time you guys should. Hey, we're DraftKings, and this is what we do. We're not shitting on everybody else. We're just telling you that we're the only ones that you put in your money, you get paid. Like, this is how we do it, because I'll be honest with you, I don't know how to get paid from another site. I don't.
I've gotten, back in the day, I was paid from Bovada. I got a paper check in the mail from Bovada once. And I was like, wow, I guess it kind of works. But it took a while, and like, I have no idea how to get paid from Bet Online.
But I'd rather get a tax ID from DraftKings.
Right. So like, what I'm saying is, and I should have prefaced it that way, like, sure, you can find somewhere online that you can parlay division odds or whatever, but DraftKings, you put it in, it's going back into your account. You can take it right back into your PayPal wherever you want it. Boom, done.
And legal. It's all legit.
All your own money.
And it's exactly, and that's safety. I'm telling you, man, for these young bettors, safety, if you can control, dude, that's why they call us the bankroll boys. You got a bankroll, and you need to watch it. If you're putting in 100 a week and that's all you want to spend, only spend 100. If you somehow double that up, use that 100, put the 200 away. Like, and I think DraftKings can be a place that you really can use bankroll management. And even if you got an itch, you can still do the individual, the daily. And I think that's what's great. And again, this isn't an infomercial for DraftKings. I just think that there's quality things over there and safety of the matter. Because in gambling, man, it's not all safety, right?
It is not safety. And I mean, I would say the best thing about using DraftKings is the flexibility that once you have to deposit on one side, sportsbook or daily fantasy. But once you start using that money, it all rolls over. So like, if you have $500 in your account and you've already used it, you can sprinkle that on either side that you want, which is great on like an NFL Sunday to be building lineups, enter a lineup, use that same balance here to go and take a spread that you like or a prop that you like or whatever. So I do think that the flexibility is the best part of DraftKings by far in terms of the sportsbook and DFS. But yeah, I don't even remember where I was going. We've been so all over the place. Like, I don't even remember.
Let's get into the good stuff. He's Julian Edlow of DraftKings. He was freelancing at WEI and then parlayed it into a job with DraftKings. So all right, man, what's coming back first? The NBA is talking. They want to do it. The NHL, Arizona's opening up this weekend.
Crazy.
So like, what's coming back first? You can actually bet on that if you want at some sites.
Right.
Do you think? I think the NBA is coming back. Do you think the NHL is?
Just in general for this season?
Yeah, for this season. I'm going to say no. And you know why I'm going to know why I'm going to say no? There's not enough TV rights. Like, if you can't get people through the gate, that sport in particular, like, if you can't get people through the gate, it's not going to work. And I know they have the rights to NBC, but like, you know, these local rights, like Nessa, they're not making money on any of that stuff. I feel like the ice could really suck, and that's just a little thing. You know, I'll play on a shit field if I have to play, whatever. But I don't know. People are going to be coming from all over the country. That's like the one sport where it's, you know, people coming from everywhere, and I don't know. I saw that poll on The
It's
Athletic last week, and it didn't sound like everybody was fully in.
no, and the one thing, like, so here in Boston, hockey's really popular to begin with. Not to mention the Bruins are like the Stanley Cup favorites. So there's so much reason locally for us to want a season back. But you go nationally, and there's just not the same desire to get it back. I mean, it's not like people don't want there to be a hockey postseason, but I don't think there's the same need for it like there is the NBA. People are like in need of an NBA postseason, and it sounds like the top players are already voted making it happen. So between hockey and basketball, like basketball is definitely going to be back first. Hockey may not be back. It's tough to. I feel like when they see the NBA get going, that could be the push that they need, though, to be like, okay, if they can do it, we can do it, and then somehow find a way. But then is it, let's say the NBA tips off around July or whatever, is that then too late for hockey to even say like, oh crap, how do we get this together in time? So I think there's some reason to have hope for hockey, but yeah, if there's a sport that doesn't happen, it's hockey. Like NBA is coming back at some point later this summer, I think.
And they'll probably push the season back to Christmas, which I'm fine with. Like, that's their day. And you want to open it up that day and push it back a little bit into the summer. Like, now baseball is going to have to find a way to get creative when that happens. I think it's good for a year. I think it's good for now. What's happening with everything? Like, dude, college football, I love college football. It's my favorite sport. Like, dude, I don't even know if kids can go to school. Like, that's so. I know.
College,
I know we're talking about the inevitable.
You got to be concerned about.
Yeah,
because like we have no idea. Like, we want to try and squeeze everything in now in 2021, make everything a spring semester sport. We could have a college football playoff and March Madness going on like right around the same time, or May Madness, whatever it may be. Like, next, college sports are the most up in the air. Like, I don't even want to try and guess. We have no idea what it's going to be. I just hope that we get something because college basketball is probably my favorite. So I enjoy college football a lot too. But I'm already selfishly furious we didn't get March Madness last year. Like, please at least give us a 2021 season or something.
You know what's funny, and I think we talked about this before. The NBA is trying to like figure out when the draft is going to happen, right? And like, dude, I don't even know who's in the draft. Like, I haven't even.
It's a bad draft.
Maybe you've looked into it, but like for me, like, I know Weissman, I know the kid from Georgia. Luka Garza is probably in it, but I don't know what kind of NBA player he's going to be. It's just, for me, I don't know. That's exciting, but at the same time, I'm worried. Like, I'm worried about the league having this kind of like not great talent going forward with the NBA. And then let's not forget kids bypassing college to go to the G League. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's going to hurt the sport for a little bit.
It might, and this not being a good draft is not great. I don't think the talent's not there. I think it's going to come in future drafts. But the way the NBA is now, I think it has the star power and the young star power to make it through a couple bad drafts or a couple, especially this draft being later. Like, this wasn't one to be concerned to begin with. Like, LaMelo Ball might be the number one pick in this upcoming draft. That's a realistic outcome. If somebody wants a high ceiling player over somebody like a Weissman, who is maybe like a Marvin Bagley comparison, and Anthony Edwards is the shooting guard from Georgia you're talking about, is
or like Obi Toppin, right?
Cole
Obi
Toppin.
Like, he's going to be right up there. And then
Obi Toppin's kind of like a safer player that you maybe take at the end of the top five that, his ceiling is maybe like a back end starter, man type of guy. That's just what he is.
But like, dude, after that, I'm reading this off of NBADraft.net. Okay. Denny Avdija, Isaac Okoro, which I know him, Onyeka Okongwu, Killian Hayes, Daniel Otoro, Tyrese Halliburton, Nico Mannion, Vernon Carey, Theo Maildon.
It's It's not a good draft. There's no other way around it. Tyrese Halliburton at Iowa State. He's a kid that I do like, athletic, well-rounded, like triple-double type of point guard. There's a guy that I like that you named in there, but like, yeah, it's not like it's a bad top 5 and then they just kind of stay good players. Like, the back end of the lottery players are guys that could be like late first rounders in other years. Yeah. So
we've hit on the draft. I think that's enough. Because I don't want to scare anybody. Like shit. Nope. I don't want to bet on the draft this year.
Maybe the NFL draft was awesome. I thought
that's what
Roger Goodell being a robot. Like, they knocked it out of the park, and I made a ton of it. It was a good draft to bet on.
It was great, and I had under 5.5 receivers, and I think 6 went. I had the
over there. We've had the opposite ends of a lot so far today.
I had under 4.5 quarterbacks hit, and then I had over 4.5 trades or 5, and it lost. So I went 1 and 2. That one week 1. So the draft was interesting to me. Dave Portnoy is won the thing. He won the event.
Right. Looking forward to that.
What do you think? Like, if I'm the commissioner, I roll with it. You got to go with it. You can't hide from it. Like, I think the commissioner needs to be cool instead of being a tight ass when it comes to this. Dude, he could come off being like the greatest after this. If he went along with everything Dave Portnoy did, we'd be like, dude, Goodell's the man. Right? Because we'll start to forget about the Patriots and Brady shit now that he's gone.
I agree, but what has he shown us in the past? What has Goodell shown us in the past
that makes you
think that he's going to go along with it? Like, he's not going to do it. Especially when he knows, like, Portnoy is going to show up in the clown shirt with a Fire Goodell hat.
Yeah, he's going to say
sitting
he's got,
right
symptoms.
across from him. So, like,
flu-like symptoms.
I just don't know how it's going to happen. I want it to happen. I hope it happens. But like, after seeing Goodell, like, how he managed the draft, like, he moves over to his chair. He's like, I'm sitting in this chair where I watch lots of football games. I am much more comfortable now. Like, this is the guy that's going to sit for a 3.5-hour football game with Portnoy. Like, he's just not going to make it.
I still just love it. The fact that it's actually, he like put up his money to do it. I think that's great. Let's get into some win totals. NFL. Let's get some fun stuff out of the way. After the draft, did anything move for you? From anyone's, like, I thought Baltimore had a good draft. I thought Buffalo had a really good draft. But overall, did any teams stand out to you after the? Has anything moved for you after the draft?
Yeah. So I'm bringing up the win totals now on DK, but Arizona was a team that I was kind of thinking about before the draft, and I think that what they did made a little bit of a difference for me. Having Simmons, a really good defensive player, slip to them in the first round, I think he can be a difference maker for them on a defense that needs it. And everybody thought they were going offensive line. Like, Cardinals' first pick to be an O lineman was somewhere between like -200 and -250 on DK Sportsbook, which I swear I'm not trying to promote DK, but like, some bets I did for the draft. Where else can you bet like the position of the team's first pick? I had Vikings first pick. They were heavily favored to take a corner. And I took wide receiver +250, and Justin Jefferson fell into their lap. That hit. Jets were like +120 to take a wide receiver with their first pick. They traded back, but they wound up with Denzel Mims, and it was such an obvious position of need. Or their second pick, rather. Sorry, the Jets' second pick. So I just thought those were really cool bets. But back to the win totals. Yeah, Arizona, and then they got in Josh Jacobs, that's the running back. Arizona got an offensive lineman in the third round that was considered like a mid first round pick. I saw this kid going in mock drafts like 14 to Tampa, and Arizona got him in the third round. So they're protecting Kyler Murray. They got a versatile playmaker on defense, and their second round pick just straight up turned into DeAndre Hopkins, because you can get Johnson in the window, you're replacing with Kenyon Drake. I think it's an offense that's going to move the ball and be scary, and if the defense can be good enough. The only thing is they play in maybe the best division in football. That's a little scary. But I think there's 7 wins. I think you're going to either push or win on a 500 record for Arizona. If it moves to 6.5, or you can find somewhere where it's 6.5, I absolutely love it. But yeah, that one has moved. So the Arizona over 7 wins is now minus 121. That was at least minus 110 earlier, and I think maybe even 6.5 wins at one point in time.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to throw a couple of things at you here. When it comes to win totals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's interesting. And so I don't know what you have today. I have 10. What do you see it at right now in DraftKings?
It's 10.
Okay, so it's 10. Give me the over 10 wins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. Dude, they're going to be better. They had 35 offensive turnovers last year. They're going to be better than that. They are. They just are.
Yeah, I agree with you. Once we got the word, like the unofficial word that Brady was going to Tampa Bay, I threw a ton of stuff in on DraftKings. I got Tampa over 8.5 wins. Wow. Yeah, I got Tampa plus 350 to win the division. I think they're somewhere around them with New Orleans now. And then I got them like plus 1,800 to win the NFC and plus 3,000 to win the Super Bowl or something. Just small bets to throw in there just in case they're fantastic. But yeah, the key stat that you want to look at, you mentioned, like Winston's 30 turnovers. Tom Brady has 29. Winston's 30 interceptions. Tom Brady has 29 interceptions in the last 4 seasons combined.
Yep.
He had 8 last year. Everybody talks about how bad Tampa defense is. Well, they're bad in points allowed. But
yeah, they were the best. They were the best run defense in football. And Shaq Barrett led the league in sacks.
Shaq Barrett was tremendous. So just take away all that brutal field that Winston was put in. Their backs are against the wall. Like they're going to at least give up a field goal when you throw an interception on your own 40-yard line, and sometimes you're giving up a touchdown. With Brady now punting those bad possessions away and most likely scoring more touchdowns themselves, the defense is just going to be in so much better position. It's going to getting Winston's interceptions out of the way is going to just flip everything around, and then you add Gronk, which I don't want to make too big of a deal of, but if he's just a solid like 700-yard, 6-touchdown guy or something, a red zone threat, with those receivers Brady has, and with all the tight ends out there, he loves his tight ends, I don't see how they're not good. I'm with you there.
Yeah. What about the Patriots? 9 wins. So, dude, I think they have a tough schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a season ticket holder, but I'm not a homer. I have them winning 10 or 11 games. And I'm going over because I'm not fading the Patriots win total ever. Listen, it's never happened. They've either pushed or it's gone over. I'm not fading it this year. But what about the Buffalo Bills? Are they for real?
So that was going to be my question for you. How much do you like the Bills? How many games do you think the Bills win?
I think they win 9 or 10 games, but I think they're a puddle this year. I think that, dude, who were the 2 most hyped teams a year ago? Chicago and Cleveland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, who are the most hyped teams? Would you say Tampa Bay and
Tampa, but they're
Buffalo?
I think kind of real. Buffalo's one of them.
Okay, Buffalo's one of them. So, like, we got to find someone else. If it's Tampa Bay, then maybe it's Green Bay again. I don't know. Maybe it's someone that was a playoff team last year. But all I'm saying is those teams that everyone favors usually suck.
Mm-hmm. So here's why I asked. Like, if you basically think the Patriots are going to win more games than the Bills anyway, so you think they're going to win the division. So you can get them to win the division at plus 125 as well.
Boom.
So that's the only play I have so far on the Patriots is plus 125 to win the division. And the reason I kind of like it a little bit more than the 9 win total is because, like, the Bills win total is 9. So what if they regress to like 8-8?
Yeah. What if they both go 9-7? Yeah.
And the Pats win the division at 9-7. What if they both go 9-7 and the Patriots beat Buffalo 2 times and the division winner has to get 9 is at 9-7? So you just kind of avoid the potential push at 9. And plus, rather than the minus 110, you're getting the plus 125 on the division. So I like the division a little bit more because I don't see the Bills having this like ceiling of 10, 11 games. Like they're just a solid team. Like even if they do well, they're going to win like 9 games. So yeah, so far I have Patriots plus 125 in the division. I do want once that win total hopefully somewhere creeps to 8.5. I'll play over 8.5 on the Patriots because I think 9-7 is such a realistic outcome. But like you said, 10-6 is certainly reasonable. I don't think this team's going to completely go down the drain, and I don't trust Buffalo enough. So give me Pats plus 125 to win the division. And when I can get my hands on it, give me over 8.5 wins for the Pats. Not to cheat on the 9 number. I know that's like a cop out, not giving an answer. And we did a video around the draft for NBC Sports Boston where I was on with Phil Perry, and it was like, what do you like on over under 9? And without saying that I wanted it to go to 8.5 because it was a DraftKings number, I was just like, play him to win the division. Could go over, could go under. But yeah, give me an 8.5 when we can find it.
All right. Who ranked the top 4 quarterbacks in the AFC East?
Ooh. Okay. Who's the Dolphins quarterback? Fitzpatrick?
Well, it's whoever you think.
Okay. So, I mean, I do like Tua a lot. He definitely needs a year to get his health and learn in the NFL. So I like what Miami did in this draft a lot. Fitzpatrick's going to be the starter. And you can bet on that again on TK Sportsbook. I think Fitzpatrick is minus 400 to be Miami's starter.
Wow. Oh, I'd fade that.
1.
I'm fading that.
Here. Okay, let me pull these up before
give
I
me
get
Tua.
answers.
Give me Tua Tagovailoa.
Right. Here's some offseason specials. There's 3 teams you can bet on. Miami Dolphins starting quarterback. Fitzpatrick minus 400, Tua plus 350, Rosen plus 2,000.
So Rosen would be like a real long shot. Tua baby. Tua plus week 1 versus the Patriots. Get him in there.
Even with the injury though, you don't think they're going to try and give him time?
No, I see. For me, the only value is Tua. The only value there for me is Tua.
What if? Here's another way to potentially look at value. What if they 100% say Tua's not gonna? Okay. We're gonna let Tua. The only thing I would. Then Rosen. What if something happens to Fitzpatrick and Rosen plus 2,000 for the value?
So the only value is Tua, and then the only value is Rosen. So the only thing I would do
minus 400.
Only thing I would do with Fitzpatrick is parlay him with Darnold. So I'm going to answer my own question. I think the AFC East is Darnold. Okay, Darnold, and then I'm going to say Tua, and then I'm going to say Josh Allen, and then Stidham.
Okay, I would say Darnold, Fitzpatrick. I hate Josh Allen, but Josh Allen, Stidham. So, I mean, same team order for me. I just put Fitzpatrick in there because I think Fitzpatrick's going to maybe even get the whole season.
Is there a Patriots Hoyer there? Stidham Hoyer?
So they used to have it. And it came off.
They're going with Stidham.
So Stidham, last I saw Stidham, he was minus 305 to be the week 1 starter. And that was when there was a lot of Cam Newton talk too. And just quickly, so I agree with you. I guess it's Darnold's the best quarterback in the division right now. My only hesitation is that maybe Stidham's better than Josh Allen, and maybe Josh Allen is 4. We don't know enough about Stidham, so that's why I put him 4th. And I assume you're kind of the same reasoning there. Yeah. But two other teams really quick. I'll just throw you. They have Miami there. They have Chargers week 1 starting quarterback and Bears week 1 starting quarterback.
Give me Foles and give me Tyrod Taylor.
Nick Foles minus 305. Opened at minus 1. He opened at minus 150. Trubisky's plus 200.
Okay, value.
And for the Chargers, Tyrod minus 335. Herbert plus 300. Does that change your mind? Kind of like plus 350.
From everything I heard.
Hold on. There's a wild card here for the Chargers. Cam Newton plus 2,500.
Yeah.
That also involves signing.
Tyrod's going to be the guy there.
Yeah.
Oh well, I am interested to find out where Cam Newton.
So I tried. I pumped up DK for being able to parlay everything. I just tried to parlay Nick Foles and Tyrod Taylor both for week 1. Can't do that.
Oh, that's because
Got to draw the line somewhere.
That's right. Hey man, what are the MVP odds at the moment? So I'll give Lifshatz credit. He had Lamar Jackson last year as MVP. I had Deshaun Watson, who he hates. But he also said that Patrick Mahomes was going to be a bust. So like you win some, you lose some. You know what I mean? So I haven't looked at the odds. But if I'm going for MVP this year, I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes.
So he's the favorite at plus 400.
Okay.
What do you think of the number?
Yeah, plus 400 is great in money. It's going to go down to like 200 at some point, 180.
Yeah, so I do think Mahomes is a good bet at 400. Lamar Jackson's plus 600. Russell Wilson 700. Dak Prescott plus 1,200.
So that one's interesting.
Prescott's interesting. I'm down on the Cowboys overall, but their offense is going to be high flying.
It's okay to be down on the Cowboys because that's what they do, right? I think Mike McCarthy's going to have them rolling, especially with CeeDee Lamb in the slot. I just think
offense is going to be good. What about the defense, though?
Yeah, they were a decent defense. Their secondary is still their issue, but if they can get at the quarterback, and they should win that division.
Okay, so I kind of like the Eagles plus 135 to win the division.
Okay, and they won that.
I mean, they did it. They did it banged up last year, and I just think if they can stay healthy, which maybe they don't. Another weird thing sticking with the Eagles that I took just being high. I'm weirdly high on the Eagles, I guess, this year. It's kind of my I'm telling myself I'm down on the Cowboys, and there's only one other team in the division because Washington and New York can't win it.
Yeah.
So there's only one other team that can possibly perform if Dallas is a letdown. I took Jalen Hurts at plus 10,000 to win Rookie of the Year.
Holy crap!
Just a long shot flyer. Because what if, let's say he scores touchdowns on a couple of gadget plays to start the season, and Wentz gets hurt a month in, and Hurts plays the last 12 weeks and wins them the division or something. You bet $50 to win $5,000 on Jalen Hurts winning Rookie of the Year. That intrigues me.
So Liv Schatz has Cam Akers as his rookie.
I like
of the year.
Cam Akers.
I'll give you two, and they're both running backs: Edwards-Helaire or J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. One last. I'll go to rookie of the year. The MVP. Kyler Murray plus 3,000 has my attention a little bit. And I said I was out in Arizona.
They're going to be better.
They're going to be better. They're probably not good enough for him to win it, but throw Hopkins into that offense. Murray's second year. It's going to be interesting. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is second behind Joe Burrow for offensive rookie of the year, plus 600. Dobbins, you said, is your other one. Baltimore. Yeah. He's plus 1,600.
Yep.
I do like the way Dobbins is going to fit in there. I'm just worried how much Mark Ingram still is there. They have Justice Hill, who's a nice change of pace guy. Gus Edwards, their backfield is loaded. If Dobbins gets into the workhorse role, he's a guy, fantasy-wise, rookie of the year-wise, he's a guy that stands out.
One long shot, if Buffalo's going to be good and rely on the run game, I'm curious if Zach Moss could because he's a big back dude, and when it's cold, he could be that guy. He did it in Utah. He was all Utah. I'm just saying, if somehow him and Singletary could be the new tandem there.
Smash and dash.
There's something.
Chris Johnson and Lendale White, right?
Right. There could be something there.
That is. So I'll tell you the number on Zach Moss. You're going to like that. Plus 6,600.
Woo! Woo!
So
Woo!
that'll pay you. That'll pay you.
But whenever I like a guy, though, it's like when I buy a jersey, they go to shit.
Yeah, I loved Utah last year. They were a team. I took their over win total and did really well with them, and then they just let me down so much in that game against Oregon.
Ready? Oregon. I'm in Vegas. Okay, they go for it on fourth down and they miss 3 times. I go to the what's it called, the buffet, and I find out that they're down by 6 points with 4 minutes to go, and they're at the 50-yard line, and they punted. They went for it 5 times on fourth down and didn't convert, and then with 4 minutes to go, they punted on fourth down from the 50-yard line. Do you know what happened? I remember
this, man. They were killing it for me all year.
Do you know what happened on the next play? Justin Herbert threw a 70-yard touchdown pass.
Backbreaker,
dude. You went for it all day. All day you went for it on fourth down, and you didn't go for it when the game was on the line and you had momentum.
It was brutal. I remember that game. I lost back a lot of the money that Utah made me all season on that game, and I'm such an anti-Justin Herbert guy. 2 of my bigger draft props were Tua to go in the top 5, Herbert over 5.5, and obviously hit right there because they went 5-6, so it worked out. But Herbert was a guy that, like, for a while I was on the Jordan Love train to be the third quarterback taken, and I finally got out of that because it became clear that Herbert was going to go, in the top 10. But I'm not a Justin Herbert. I do not think he's going to work out for the Chargers.
All right, let's wrap some things up here with some fun. What do you think of the Jordan documentary?
I like it. It's entertaining. I'm also a huge NBA guy, and I'm a huge 90s NBA guy just from growing up. And I think Jordan's one of the most yeah, Tom Brady's the GOAT. Jordan's the GOAT. He's more like captivating guy. Like Jordan by a million miles if you want to watch one of these guys talk about like competition in their life and everything. But at the same time, as entertaining as it is, so I have three knocks on it. One, it moves around too much. And sometimes they show you like sliding from like, May of 1998 back to June of 1993. At least you're showing me.
It's like the show Lost. You don't know if you're like, is it a flash forward right now? Is this post airplane crash or pre?
So exactly. So they sometimes they show you, sometimes they don't. And that's fine. Like I know enough I follow everything enough to like actually know where the story is, even if they don't show you. So like I get it, but like, why do you have to do that? Let's just do the story in order. Second thing is that, this is the reason we're doing this documentary is because they have all the footage of the Last Dance, the 97-98 Bulls were followed around. They have 500 hours of footage, NBA TV, from the 97-98 Bulls. Like, make all these earlier seasons a few episodes and like bring us up to the point, and then make the documentary about the 97-98 Bulls and give us all of this 500 hours of footage. Like we saw Jordan smoking the cigar with the baseball bat in the locker room. I
love that. I love
that. I love that too.
23 to 45. Who does he think I am? Oh, BJ Armstrong. And he's working on his swing, driving the knob.
Smoking a cigar. So like nobody had ever seen that footage before until that aired, and they have 500 hours of that. Like I get it. Like I don't want to. We've all heard about the 63-point game in the Garden and like covering that. We were seeing things we already knew about. Like spend these 10 hours bringing me more than 500 hours of footage and covering the 97-98 Bulls more. Third knock is like the last episode. Some people thought it was like the best one, or episode 7 when it gets into him playing baseball, it gets into his father's shady stuff. Like when we got to that point in time, all the people in the interviews we've seen from like the first episodes are suddenly gone. And the only people talking are like the guy that wrote his book, Ahmad Rashad, who spends all this time around him. Like his two best friends who are like reporters and journalists that like cover him. We obviously know he trusts Ahmad Rashad because when he wasn't talking or doing interviews for 2 weeks about his gambling, when he wanted to do it, he told Ahmad Rashad, get a camera and let's do it, when he did the sunglasses interview. What we get in the last episode, where are these opinions coming from? I want to hear what Scottie Pippen or Phil Jackson has to say about the time that he was playing baseball and his father was murdered.
Exactly. And only thing I'm looking for, I want to finish it off, obviously, but I'm interested in Reggie Miller. I'm interested in this because, he's kind of a big figure now. We already know what Charles thinks and all that. So I am interested in that next step. 1995, dude, like I had NBA Live 95. I was a video game junkie at the time. And like, I remember when Nick Anderson stole the ball, and like Jordan wasn't Jordan. Like they hit on that pretty good because he didn't have his legs. Do a good job. He didn't have his legs. And at that time, dude, I'm kidding. I'm like, he's not the same guy. He's not. And just the fact that he had to come back from that, I thought they did that well. I think the soundtrack's awesome. Like the
soundtrack is awesome.
I want to bump that thing like one day in my car. Like,
so here's the thing. I'm complaining about it going back and forth, but one of the things I like is that when they take you back to a year, they're playing a legit song that was like popular at that time, which I think is cool.
Yeah, like they played Down with
you around with the music.
Yeah, like Down with the King came out when he came back. I'm back. I thought that was pretty good.
The soundtrack hits well, and you're right about the Magic thing. Like if they are hitting on one thing, honestly, it's like he was not ready to come back, and then he got himself ready and got into three-peat mode again. And it was cool, like the Jordan Dome at Space Jam, bringing all those players in and spending that whole summer training. Like that was a real thing. And Dennis Rodman was not yet traded to the Bulls. Yeah. He was that offseason, but he wasn't when he came to play at the Jordan Dome. So him coming there and like gelling with Jordan was potentially a big reason that the Bulls were like, all right, this guy could be a fit.
And it's funny. I wonder if like he had guys there because they didn't have that power forward once they lost Horace Grant. So I'm wondering if he brought guys in there
Tryouts.
like, oh, we like this kid, Juwan Howard. Can he be a four? Can he be a four on the Bulls? And I don't know if it would have worked out. Like I don't know.
Rodman was the perfect fit.
Yeah.
For that team
with the attitude and everything too, and he got suspended. That didn't help him. Either he kicked the camera guy, and we haven't seen that yet. I'm sure we'll see that coming up on the next one. But I think it's well done. The baseball stuff. He hit 200 and hit 50 RBIs, and they think he could have made it to the majors. Who knows? He was 31, but if he did it earlier, I think he may have or could have been a major league ball player. I just don't know if he would have been like anyone good,
Right. He would not have been Michael Jordan in baseball. He would have just been another name. If he wanted to do that from the jump, sure. But I mean, I think we know where he belongs.
Yeah, you know what's so funny about that? I'm one of these people that, and Tim Tebow is probably a name people bring up. This is me personally. I think if you're a great athlete, you can literally do anything. Jordan's from what I hear, a good golfer. But he's competitive. But like, I don't know what it is. There are some guys that, like LeBron James, I heard was a great football player. Allen Iverson was an outstanding quarterback. I
think LeBron won high school football player of the year in Ohio.
Like, dude, there were these dudes. I played basketball. My basketball team was nasty in high school, and like there were dudes who played football and they were like better. And I'm like, dude, you don't realize how good you are. like, you know what I mean? But like, it's just weird how like the NBA is the one athlete that you can't compete with any other sport. Like, you're one of the best 120 people in the country. Oh, in the U.S. And then there's other people in the other countries. But like, it's just weird how those guys in that sport could play football, could play baseball if they had it. And I feel like it's only basketball. And I know baseball and football guys, there's been guys, Deion Sanders. I bet you Deion could play hoops. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you there are other guys who could do it. But Tebow going from football to baseball, like, people shit on him because he's like, oh, you're trying to play baseball. But like, he is a professional baseball player. He does have the athletic ability. He's just not going to be, he's not going to be Trot Nixon. He's not going to be like, I'm trying to use like an average outfielder.
Right.
He's just not going to be one of those guys.
The thing for me, just with the Jordan thing and playing baseball, is like, I just don't think it would have necessarily satisfied his competition addiction or whatever you want to call it that he says during the documentary.
I'm not a gambler. I'm just a competitive guy.
Right, exactly. Whatever you want to call it. If you're down a run in the ninth inning and you're not one of the three guys coming up to bat in the bottom of the ninth, well, there's nothing you can do. So in an NBA game, it's just like, all right, give me the ball and I'll figure this out. And I think that's what he thrived on. And I don't think he would have done well just not having, control of the situation. So that's my main thing about why in baseball, I don't think it would have satisfied him the way basketball did.
Totally agree. And I'm ready to finish this bad boy off.
Let's do it.
At the, when it comes to, when it comes to what's it called? The Jordan.
Oh, the Last Dance.
Yeah.
It's come to the end.
Not this off. No.
We still got 2 hours.
We're gonna wrap this up in style, and I know I appreciate you giving me 90 minutes today. So what else do I have to do, man? I call this. There's some things out there. I didn't put this on the list to you, but what do you think? What do you think a cameo? Do you feel like you got it yet? Where somebody could call you up and do a cameo?
I don't have many thoughts on it, and I haven't really looked into it that much. But like, I have no reason to be on it because nobody would ever want anything from me. So like, I think it's weird to. I think it's a weird process. It's a weird purchase. Like, is that something you would want to purchase from anyone?
I don't know.
I guess my thought is that you should have to be really famous to do it, like to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. I wonder if it's something that I'd like to do. All right, so I call this musings. This is what we do. Weirdest thing you've bet on during quarantine?
So I haven't bet on that much. I did the NFL draft, which is obviously a normal thing I would have done most years. and I haven't gotten into any like weird simulations. So I guess Korean baseball is the weirdest thing I've bet on so far because I've been trying to get into that. I had a really good first week, and I'm 0-4 now this week. I have not been putting anything on Twitter if you're looking for it because it's just not there yet, and I'm messing around with it a little bit myself. But Korean baseball is, I guess, really one of the only things I've bet on the draft. It's been NFL futures, NFL draft, and that. So by default, if you're up late watching these weird games with the cardboard guys in the stands, it's pretty hilarious.
What about these murder hornets?
I have zero thoughts on the murder hornets other than like if coronavirus hasn't knocked us out hasn't knocked us out enough. Somewhere the government is just like, all right, let's just release the murder hornets and see how this goes. Like I have no thoughts on it. How are murder hornets coming about? It's just so 2020 that something called a murder hornet would be released upon us during the middle of a coronavirus quarantine.
So the thing they also put out on us was UFOs. Like they actually were like, yeah, they're so like, shit, like all this is going on, but like, did it go undercover? Like, yeah, we all heard about the UFOs, but like, I haven't heard anything since. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just such weird timing. Like, why is all this coming out now? So that's my thought. Like, only now could a murder hornet become a real thing.
Have you seen CC Sabathia?
I saw a picture of him. He lost a ton of weight, right?
He's skinny.
Let me, quick.
My buddy Sean Silver checking in. Ryan and Weymouth was right about the UFOs. He calls them tall grays. They're here. The Silver Fox.
Okay, here's a Sabathia picture. He's very skinny.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. He needed to do that. Yeah.
Why didn't he do that? He probably could have got another contract.
Right. I was just gonna say, so good for him, but at the same time, like you blow up to your worst point while you're a professional athlete, and then as soon as you're done, you get in playing shape. Like, unless he's planning a comeback when we get out of this, I don't know.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about the Korean baseball, but it sounds like you're already like.
I'm in. If it turns into something for me, you'll see it on Twitter. I'm learning, and I'm writing KBO targets articles on the DraftKings playbook for the Friday morning and Saturday morning slates. So if you want Korean baseball, we're in on it.
Oh, Jesus. This is how we wrap up the show. It's called Quarantine. Things that you've done during quarantine.
Okay.
What shows have you been binging?
So I held off Tiger King as long as I could, and then I couldn't do it anymore. So I watched it. I think it was not as good as the hype suggested, but I think part of the reason it felt that way is because I think it peaked in the middle. Like the middle episodes were the best. That's where it was at its craziest. So I did Tiger King. I watched all of Ozark. I thought Ozark was pretty cool. I just think it's cool because I'm not a huge TV guy, just because I don't have the time normally to be a huge TV guy with all the sports stuff going on. You have to stay on top of everything if you're going to work in fantasy, work in gambling. And now it's just like sitting back, watching all these movies, watching all these shows, like watching dumb stuff, Bar Rescue, Man vs. Food, all this stuff I would never have the time to watch. And I prefer the sports, but it's been different.
Yeah. Like I've been watching Dave. It's on FXX with Little Dicky. It's pretty funny. Insecure. I don't know.
Check that out. I haven't seen either of those.
I'm a huge wrestling fan. So Dark Side of the Ring is very good. And what they do is they do like stories about wrestlers that you might not know about, or do like documentaries on them. So like Chris Benoit, you probably remember that story. They did that. Last night was remember the Legion of Doom? They came out with like the football pads and spikes and the face paint. They did one on that last night. And then next week is Owen Hart, who is Bret Hart's brother, who died during the event. He was trying to like fly down off a thing and it wasn't buckled in. And
I'm not a huge wrestling guy, but this I clearly remember.
So like this is like next week is like, whoa, Owen Hart, they're gonna talk about it. So it's a big
I'll watch that one.
But that's a good one. And then I rewatched The Sopranos, and I'm trying to. So I'm working on it, but I'm getting someone who was on The Sopranos on the podcast next week. And
oh wow, good tease.
I'm still pissed about the ending. Still pissed about it.
I think most people are, and I wasn't even a huge Sopranos person.
Like, did you like Game of Thrones?
Never watched Game of Thrones. That's my I've just gotten there, and I'm just sticking with it.
All right, ready? Here's good. The show is amazing. The ending I fucking hated, and I have no other way to say it. And I haven't talked about it since.
And that I know from, I mean, if you have a Twitter account, you know that that's how most people felt. And I was kind of happy when that happened, because I was like not a Game of Thrones person, and I was like, all right, everybody's talking about it every week, and then all of you were so angry. I was just like, ha,
dude, if the last season never happened, it might be the greatest show ever.
Right.
It's like
that's
that,
the way I understand
it's like that type of show where, like, if they just left it there and never wrote it, we'd be like, dude,
would they have to have ended the second to last season any differently, or they could have just left it?
They could have left it. Well, no, they couldn't have left it, because some guy comes out of nowhere and you're like, who the hell's this guy? And then it goes into a new
so
season.
They needed more. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you're like, yeah, it was.
So they blew it at the end.
Oh, they blew it. Good job, good effort, but they blew it. Go-to snack, man. What are you snacking on?
Way too much ice cream, I feel like. I don't know why, and I'm not a big dessert guy. I think it's because we've been doing meals and we've been trying not to have too many snacks around here, but I do have ice cream around, so that's the one thing that I can snack on. Like last night, I wasn't full after dinner. I had an M&M cookie sandwich, ice cream sandwich.
Oh,
it was amazing.
Nice.
I haven't had one of those in like years. So,
but like, is that where you go? Or, like me, I got a Brigham's Big Dig in the freezer, which is like a brownie caramel, whatever.
Oh yeah. So I have a mix of. Usually, I have like some Ben and Jerry's, like the fish food or the half baked.
Half baked, yep.
Yeah, either one of those two. Those two are great. And then if it's the sandwiches or bars, it's either the M&M cookie sandwich or the Twix bars, the ice cream Twix bars.
I had a strawberry shortcake eclair the other day. Oh, it was.
I remember those in like the like middle school, high school vending machines.
Those were so good, man.
Those were good. It's been a while for me.
Speaking of that, your favorite frozen food?
All right, so I won't go back to the ice cream, which we obviously rattled off. I try not to do too much frozen food. We have, like, just out of necessity, like both my wife and I working with. We have a 6-month-old baby, like none of that much time. So during a weekday, we could throw like a frozen pizza in the oven. Obviously, I would prefer, delivery or something, but that's just kind of out of need. So those have been okay. But
the
frozen food,
yeah,
right. Newman's Own. We've been doing some Newman's Own.
Yeah.
A frozen food that I didn't know about all that much that I've started to like, because there are some good Chinese takeout places open, but there haven't been that many that readily available, or sometimes they take a while. I had never tried P.F. Chang's frozen meals before.
Ooh,
like it's
General
all the
Gao chicken. Yep.
Yeah, it's a big bag. You dump it into a pan and cover it up and make it.
I've done it.
And it comes out. Let's call it like 80% of restaurant quality.
Yeah.
And I'm nothing special in the kitchen, so if I can do that, the P.F. Chang's frozen meal I've been enjoying as an alternate to Chinese takeout.
So, dude, if you like that, go to Trader Joe's and buy any
Joe's has
any frozen meal that they have. They do nothing wrong, and I don't know how. Like I one time bought a General Gao chicken with like rice and like something on the side, and I put it in the bag, the pan, and I was like, this is better than like most of the places that I go to. It's like addicting, and they give you like that extra sauce.
Sauce makes it, and you're right. Trader Joe's good frozen Chinese food.
Finally, your most obscure purchase during quarantine.
I haven't bought all that much. I bought some patio furniture. I upgraded some patio furniture because I was like, all right, we're stuck here, so we might as well enjoy the outside deck that we have, which is big in an apartment complex. We haven't had one in like years. So the patio furniture. I did buy. I don't know. Do you do Air Jordans at all? Any Air Jordan knowledge?
Not for a long time.
Okay, so I've been big into those for a while, and the perfect time to be releasing the Fire Red 5s during the Last Dance, and those were flying off the shelves. I still have a pair from like 12 years ago that are all beat up, but I was like, I'm going to treat myself to a fresh pair of these. So I did get those. I haven't bought that much else. I think the patio furniture is the most obscure thing because I bought it in like March, which is odd timing.
Mine was I did Instacart, where like I go online.
People like that.
Yeah, and so, but what happened was, and I feel like, I don't know if you know me that well, but I don't like lettuce. I don't like salad. I'm just not like a veggies guy. Like, I'll eat veggies,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want your fucking avocado. I don't want your head of lettuce, and I don't want your box of baby spinach.
Okay.
And I got a cucumber. They gave me an extra bag of that. So like I got everything I wanted, but then they gave me an extra bag of that, and I was insulted. I was like, "What is this? Is this some sort of sick joke?"
Do you pick what you want, or is it just we're going to provide you?
Yeah, you pick what you want. I think they left a bag that they thought was mine, but at the same time, I'm wondering if they're
just trolling you a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder if they're trolling me now. Like, oh shit, let's give Joe some more heads of lettuce and like see how he reacts, because I've been reacting about it. Like, I wanted soda, they didn't give me my soda, but I haven't stuck with this damn Instacart. Anyways, that's my that's my most obscure purchase.
Veggies are not very popular in quarantine,
especially right now. Who wants that shit? Unless you get the I did this a frozen Brussels sprouts with butter.
With butter, right,
yeah, nice. and if you I for your area, if you ever go to Somerville, there's a place in Highland Ave in Somerville called Highland Kitchen. They make buffalo Brussels sprouts. Woo!
Ooh, I think I've had some of those somewhere in Southie.
Oh, I
don't remember the name of it.
So good.
Buffalo Brussels sprouts.
I mean, you can make it. I'm sure you can make them at home too, right? But oh man, that's where I got introduced. All right, he is Julian Edlow. He is from DraftKings. What do you got going on? Anything else this week for DraftKings?
So, I mean, if you want to play the Madden simulations, those are going on literally from noon to 10 p.m. every 2 hours. There's a kickoff on DraftKings. You can play the free contests. You can tune in on YouTube when we call the games. DK Playbook, you're going to get articles for all of them there. I'm going to have a bunch of NFL Sportsbook articles giving out different plays for futures that I like, because that's one of the only things that we can really do for real sports now. So yeah, that's I would say the playbook and the YouTube streams for the sim. Those are two main things to check out right now.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll be able to see each other or talk again before Glasheen's eyebrows come back.
They're like halfway back. Maybe it's weird. It looks like you just like penciled a little bit in, but you can tell that something is wrong with his face.
He looks like a hobbit. I'm telling you, he looks like Bobo.
Someone in the comments on one of our streams said he looked like Walt Disney. Which is, I don't know why it was hilarious, but like he did. I don't know if Walt Disney just didn't have eyebrows or something, but look at the picture of him with his eyebrows shaved and then look at a picture of Walt Disney. It's crazy.
That's funny. All right, he's Julian Edlow of DraftKings. Follow all his stuff, all his bets, all his daily fantasy, all his articles. And it was good to get to know you a little bit more today, Julian. Again, appreciate your time, man, and I'm sure we will catch up down the line, bud.
Always, man. Thanks for having me, Joe.
You got it. I'm wrapping up the show today, too. Tomorrow we have Scott Sudikoff on. He is from somewhere now. I don't know what he's doing, because he's a play-by-play guy. So I don't like, what's he doing? You know what I mean? Like, there's no sport. So is he doing
he should get in on some Madden sims. Glasheen has become wildly popular among the Madden sim faithful.
Maybe we should have a connection there. We'll have him on tomorrow. We're going to do a ton of wrestling. So we'll do wrestling inside the ropes tomorrow. We'll do the Wednesday Night Wars tonight as well. I'm going to end it here. Don't forget, Just Sitting Here, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes. You can listen to all our past shows, all my past shows. It's our past shows. And hopefully my mustache is a little bit more filled in tomorrow. My beard grows very fast. So that's it for today. For Julian Edlow, I'm Joe Murray. Just Sitting Here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.